What's up YouTube, this is Amy's Bro, and for this video we are doing an episode of the Crunchyroll Reviews series. Tonight it is Sailor Moon Crystal Season 1. And God, this one's going to give me a headache. Alright, first off, we need to go over the definition of the word finale. And the second one is the one we're going to focus on. The second definition reads, the concluding part of any performance, course of proceedings, etc. End. There's a reason for that, but we'll get to that later. Okay, we need to discuss what Sailor Moon Crystal actually is and how we've gotten to tonight. So, okay, Sailor Moon Crystal is supposed to be a reboot of Sailor Moon. Okay, no issue with that. It was announced in 2012. When it started airing was July 5th of 2015. Excuse me, 2014. Now, there's a 2-year gap in there. What happened was it was supposed to originally start in 2013, but some things I guess happened and there was a hang-up and it didn't get to happen. What was told, what everybody was told, we'll eventually find out, is they were looking for a network to air it on. It would eventually become a web series. Okay? Now, I have no issue with that. We were also told that it was going to be a faithful version of the manga. So, instead of getting, say, 200 episodes, now, if they go through all the parts, it's going to be 60. Okay, no issue with that. But here's the thing, okay, and this is where it gets screwy. You're going to be doing a retelling of the manga. So this means that you have at least one arc, the Dark Kingdom arc, the one that we just got done with, well, the one we're going to be done with soon. You've now done this 3 times. The first time was over 20 years ago in the original series. The second time was in a live-action version, which only aired in Japan. The third time is now. What are you doing differently? Well, what they did differently was they were supposed to follow the manga. Verbatim, pretty much. Well, they pretty much did for like the first 4 episodes. Then you get to episode 5. If you read the manga, and you read it page for page, and you go and watch that episode, and you watch scene for scene, there are so many changes done to that, you pretty much knew from then forward that following the manga's script was virtually out the window. And it was. Because there were a lot of things changed that irritated people. Trust me. Okay. I'm not going to bag on the story because of what we're told. What I'm going to say is, if you're going to follow the manga verbatim, like you claimed you were going to before the thing started, that's fine. If you're also telling me you're going to turn this into a darker, more mature version of the series, but when I look at the series, I look at a female lead character whom, I hate to say it, but it didn't seem like she really evolved to me in 20 years. Maybe I was hoping for a bit more of a badass. Do you get what I'm saying? And do not misunderstand me. Okay? There are qualities about Sailor Moon's character that I like, but it seems like the theme song was telling you one message, but the actual work that was going on in the episode told you a completely different story, at least to me, at times. And it absolutely drove me nuts. It did. Because I wanted to see a tougher version of Sailor Moon than what I feel like I got. Okay? And it's been 20 years. I'm not going to give you a pass. The animation I'm not going to bag on, because there were some limitations with the budget and all that. And in fact, it got turned into a web series and they couldn't find a network. Okay, fine. Here's my issue. Okay? For a good number of the episodes, they used this one animation style. When you get up into episodes towards the end, it almost looked like they were using the version from the Blu-ray, from the DVD or Blu-ray that they're selling in Japan. Don't do that. Use one or the other. Don't use both. That's annoying. That doesn't win your points with me. Because it's even funnier when it seems like when they get to season 2, we're keeping this animation style from season 1. Do you see what I'm saying? And anybody that's actually watching the episodes on, be it Neon Alley or Hulu or Crunchyroll, you know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to the animation and how different it is. Okay. So that's the animation. I've already explained my thing about the story. I would love to say that the character development, at least for this season, was really well done. I would love to say that. I can't, though. Or it's a lot harder for me. See, here's the thing. This, if you're telling me I'm going to get a darker, more mature series, then maybe I'm expecting better character development. Like, okay, we find out some things about the Inners, which I think is really cool. How apparently they had romantic interests, which is really awesome considering the fact that one flaw that I felt the original series had 20 years ago was the only person who was allowed to have a romantic interest was in fact Sailor Moon, and the way that they told her story, the way they told the story over 200 episodes was, here's Usagi, here's Mamoru, here's their love story, it's eventually going to have a happy ending. Here's Makoto, here's Minako, here's Rei, here's Amy. They may have love interests, but we're going to always make sure that theirs fail or have a bad ending. Or have some type of weird ending at the end. That's literally the story they were telling you. At least that's the way it always felt to me. Sorry if you disagree with me. But it's the God honest truth. Okay? So, we get to this, and we get to a part where we apparently find out that the kings, the generals, the Shiteno, I don't know how you should pronounce them, my bad, and the Senshi apparently have a thing going. Now what's interesting about this is allegedly it's not canon that Zoisite and Amy were an item. That's apparently supposed to be not canon. However, we have this version of Sailor Moon. We have one of the musicals, La Conquista, And we have Cinnamon RPG, another story where Amy gets Zoisite's crystal. But no, they're not canon. I don't follow. That doesn't work with me anymore. So it's either apparent that they're taking liberties with the story, which, considering the way they've told this story now for 13 episodes, wouldn't surprise me, or in legitimate canon, essentially did have something with the Four Kings, with Endymon's kings. That's fine. Of course, then also that's going to make a lot of people go, "What happened? What about the Zoisite Kunzite thing? Well, that was a fabrication in the first place. I don't know why anybody believed that." That's found out to be actually a lie all along. Hey, the hell! But the character development is literally one of the greatest flaws because of the way they had to tell the story. Remember, we're doing 60 episodes, should this go all 60. So the character development, for the most part, is pretty... It's pretty either rushed or non-existent. At least that's the way I feel. It's one of those two. Haven't figured out which, though. So we have pretty shitty or mediocre character development. The animation's fine, but the story is kind of repetitive because we've already heard it before. And this pretty much leads me to this. The biggest thing I always look for in an anime is this. Can you really get an emotional connection with the characters? Because of the way the character development is in this series, or in this season, and potentially this series, it's virtually impossible. Because in order for there to be an emotional connection, there has to be a running storyline with characters that makes you care about them. Well, okay, if you've ever seen Pretty Guardian, and I mean the live action, you know that they do character development paths where basically everybody progresses. Be it Sailor Moon, Sailor Mars, Sailor Mercury, Makoto, because they all were given, in some respects, love interests, and there's a path that they go with. Here, because you're telling the manga story and you're focusing, it seems, strictly, because you have to focus on it, the Mamoru-Usagi relationship, it feels like the other four are just going to be there for the ride again. So what reason do you have to care about them? Do you see my problem? But I know how it's going to be. People are going to go, well, that was the way it was supposed to be all along, because that's the way the manga was wrote. But here's the thing. The manga isn't even really being followed to the letter anymore, it seems. So why would you even worry about not developing their relationships? Do you know what I want to see when we get to season 2, which allegedly starts next week? I want to start to see, in the next 13 episodes, I want to see a situation where maybe Amy and Zoisite end up going out on a date or something, or Jadeite and his senshi, which I believe was Ray. I want to see something go on with them. You see what I'm saying? You want to be able to say, at the end of the day, when we get to the end of the series, everybody has their happy ending. Isn't that the point? You would think. Because otherwise, I'm struggling to understand how anybody can really praise the story of Sailor Moon when you're focusing on one goddamn character. That one character should be able to develop everybody. And it seems, at least so far, that at the end of the season, when we break it down, they haven't been able to make you really invest in the other Senshi. Like I literally watched the finale tonight, going, huh? And I was so emotionally blank. It's not even funny. And not even because I was emotionally spent. I was just because you didn't really give me a reason to care about anybody in 13 episodes. So why am I going to care about, this ending, this finale? I'm sorry, but you failed. And now I gotta wait 2 weeks, which is that's really, I think, part of the problem. The big part of the problem. The story pacing, one episode would happen, and then you wait 2 or 3 weeks for the next one. And instead of it going 13 straight weeks. So then you might be able to really get emotionally invested and give a shit. For me, it's hard for me to get invested if I know that I'm not seeing you for 2 weeks. 2 or 3 weeks. That's just the way it is. And the way they did the story, no, I couldn't get invested in you. Not to mention the fact that I already know that you're not really going to give me a reason to care about the other 4 Guardians. Do you get what I'm saying? Maybe it's just me. And if it is, fine. But this is my opinion, this is my review, and I have the hardest time telling anybody to go ahead and watch this season, or even this series as a whole, because they don't really do anything that makes you go, you know what, yeah, you can go ahead and watch. I don't know how to go watch Kuroko's Basketball, and the only reason I even, and by the way, and one of the main reasons I didn't, crap on the ending to season 2 of Kuroko's Basketball is because you knew that when you get to season 3 that they're probably going to find a way to continue the story, and they are, by the way, with the very first episode, which happens in about 6 days from now. So just think about that, okay? And Kuroko's Basketball, by the way, does a better job of getting me to give a shit, not just about Kuroko, not just about Kagami, but about every character. I have the people that I like, I have the people that I hate. I have the people that, I want to see overcome obstacles. I have the people that I want to throw. Do you understand what I'm saying? They do that better than Sailor Moon does at this point. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. Anywho, no, this one gets a big. If you want me to give a number grade out of 5, it probably gets about a 2. If you want me to give you a letter grade, try a D-. No, don't. Just go find something else better to watch. Hell, Wrestle Kingdom comes on in an hour and 57 minutes. Go watch that. You'll get less of a headache, I promise. Anywho, I will talk to you all. I may talk to you later today after Wrestle Kingdom, so we'll see. Y'all have a good one. Bye-bye.